Good evening and welcome to the Tewksbury Select Board meeting for Tuesday, February 10, 2026. Time is 6:30. At this time, we are going to take a motion to go into executive session. The reason to go into executive session is that we're talking about lawsuits filed against the town, and then matters in this case may be detrimental of being heard in public hearing. So I'll take a motion to go into executive session by someone.
Second.
Right. A motion by Mr. Thing, second by Mr. Mackey. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Since we're doing this remotely, I'm going to do a roll call. Mr. Ryder, how do you vote? Eric, can you hear us?
Yep, aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Mr. Holland?
Yep, sorry.
Mackey?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Mr. Russo is unavailable for tonight's meeting, so we'll, it's a 4-0 vote. We're in executive session. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tewksbury Select Board for Tuesday, February 10, 2026. The time is 7:26. We had executive session prior to this meeting, and now we're going into regular session. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Going to do residents?
Is that?
Going to do residents?
No, I'm just waiting for him to, they're doing something over there. I just want to make sure they're all set. They're trying to get the presentation ready.
It's up. We'll do it.
You guys all set?
Yep.
All right, welcome, everyone. At this time, we're going to open the meeting, and if there are any residents that would like to be heard, please come up and to the microphone.
Good evening, gentlemen. Jerry Corbin from 82 Emerald Court. A little feedback on a couple of things tonight. The HCA, for example. In the HCA, and there's a section 11 about traffic impact, and it mentions how you're recommending that when they're doing construction, they use 495 and Main Street. And then earlier in section C, you mentioned that if there's any damage done to Hillman, Clinton Court, or Washington, that the construction, they're liable to get it fixed. The only problem with that is you don't get to any of those streets without going to Old Boston Road, and Old Boston Road's not listed in there. If you go back to a meeting, I think it was on December 16th, I even gave you a nice pretty map where I showed how Old Boston Road effectively makes an island with everything to the northeast. So to me, that's sort of a fundamental miss. On the reimbursements, I asked where the 3.8 million for an itemized list, and Mr. Curran did provide it. A couple of notes on that. One of them is it's 3.75, not 3.8. In that 3.75, there's 50,000 counted for that escrow account that people may or may not use, depending on if anybody files a claim and it's successful for their property value. The other thing that's interesting is in the itemized list that Mr. Curran provided, there is a line item called construction fire training, 2 years worth at 60,000 each. That's not in the HCA. I cannot find it. If someone can find it, please let me know. So, there's gaps. My first question is, did anybody read the HCA? Did the lawyers read it? Did anybody read it real closely? The other thing that's interesting too is that it's worded when the presentation was done that Hillman's committed to providing the town 3.8 million. 45% of that 3.8 million are not to exceed amounts, meaning that we have to spend some money and then they'll reimburse us. So, I mean, maybe we will spend every single dollar, but that seems to be a little unlikely. The other thing too is this energy capacity study where we only get half a reimbursement. So they'll give us 50,000, but we have to spend 50,000 as well. The other thing that's interesting is the public safety training is the only one of the 20-year line items, and there's 3 20-year line items. There's the stormwater enhancement, there's the fire suppression material, and the public safety training. The public safety training is the only one that had, in the last version, a little comment that said escalation factor to be added. Why we wouldn't have an escalation factor on anything that's going out for 20 years would boggle the mind. I know some of the board and some of them out here tonight have massive financial backgrounds. And for them not to understand present value and future value and to understand that $70,000 reimbursement now for stormwater is not going to be worth a lot 20 years from now. So to not have inflation factors factored in is just incredible. The other thing too is I think there was a slide that was missing. It was very good about explaining what Hillman could potentially give us, but there wasn't a slide that said what we're doing for Hillman. So one of the questions I asked is a 1.35 cap on permits and fees. And when I asked for an explanation about whether or not that was a good deal or a bad deal, I got that it can't be determined yet because we don't know the value of the project. Permit fees are based on construction value. It can be assumed that it would be much higher than 1.35 million. So effectively, we're giving money to Hellman because we're reducing the cost. So that 3.8 million goes down to 3.75, goes down to 3.7, goes down to 3.58 because we don't know about that 120,000. And now you got to subtract what you're giving them in terms of savings for fees. And we haven't even started the pilot, so who knows where that's going to go. I was going to talk about property value payments, but that whole thing's somewhat of a fiasco because it's designed so no one will ever collect. I mean, you made it, you get to pick the assessors. The owner has to put in half the assessed fee up front. If, and I believe the term it's used, that if it's proved that any reduction in their property value is due to the battery thing. Well, property values go for all different reasons, so to prove that it's that one specific point is going to be a little bit challenging. And then there was also another clause that any homeowner eligible shall provide in writing Hillman Energy Center such reasonable financial and other information as Hillman Energy Center may request. So you've made this so burdensome that it's comical. It's comical that you even take claim for it. Just a few notes. I loaded the HCA into a word processor. It found no less than 7 or 8 typos or formatting errors, including one place where it still says 168 units as opposed to the new revised number. Now, that's a little bit of a nitpick, but it's also what we've been seeing at every single presentation we've gotten from way back when you referred to the limited partners, and we had that wrong, to the presentation we had in front of the Board of Health about a month and a half ago, where there was talk about pilot, and then when pushed, it said, well, we don't have to do a pilot, but we would prefer to do it. But up until that point, you know, you talk about transparency. Last time I got up here and talked about transparency, I called BS. I'm still calling BS on transparency. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other residents that would like to be heard? All right.
I'm going to get up and say something good about our town. Hi, I'm Jay Delaney, 141 Patricia Drive, Tewksbury. What I'm up here tonight to say is I am so pleased and proud of the way the streets have been plowed in the town of Tewksbury. Okay, never have I seen the roads as good or as well. So I want to thank everybody who was responsible for that. And that's all I have to say, but thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney. Mr. Cameron, can you pass that on to DPW?
Absolutely, I will, and thank you very much. It's always good to hear good things once in a while.
All right, we're going on to new business. Is there anybody else? I think we don't have anybody else. Okay. We're going to go into new business. We have Tree City Proclamation. Come forward.
Hi, Susan Young, 1408 Whipple Road, and I'm here representing the Tree City group in town that would like to ask the Select Board to, once again, for the 4th year, proclaim Arbor Day, April 24th, 2020, 2026 as the day that we will celebrate Arbor Day here in town. We are, our very first year, the inaugural year, we planted trees at the center school. For the last 2 years, we have planted trees in collaboration, with the library. We're trying to do is to create a small arboretum of native trees in that area. And so we've done that quite successfully for 2 years, and we're looking forward to being able to do that again this year. As you know, the area in back of the library has a beautiful concert area as well as the library's community garden. And I think that makes the addition of those native trees makes a beautiful area for people to come, relax, listen to music, enjoy nature. And so we're hoping that we will have the town's support for that project in whatever extent that we might need it, but also that we would have the select board's support in proclaiming April 24th of this current year as Arbor Day.
Thank you. All right, any questions or concerns on the board?
I have no questions.
The only thing I have, Mr. Coven, I know we've had trees planted behind the library before. Is there any kind of, the locations were put before, there wasn't any issues or anything like that, but is there any specific areas that we have, any sprinklers, whatever it may be? Is there something that we have to, when we're looking at a location, we may have to have the grounds take a look at the location to make sure it's suitable?
Yeah, we could coordinate that with Vinnie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're putting it in some of the places there may be stone underneath there. We don't know. And so, I'd hate to see you do your work and then find out that you're going to try to dig there and there's, you're on ledge or something like that and it won't grow, I want to make sure you get the ideal location where you're getting sun and the library's happy with it as well.
Yeah, thank you. We have been actually working with the DPW.
Yep.
They've been doing the digging work for us to help out with that because we need a pretty big hole for.
Yeah, that's what I thought was in the past that they were involved, but I'll make
Yes.
sure that, like I said, it's coordinated. So if you're going to do it, it just works out well. All right. Mr. Ratty, you have anything?
No, all set. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chair.
right. Okay, at this time, I'll open it up to any motions on the
We're going
matter.
to read the proclamation?
Yes, I just didn't know if we were going to have a motion and then when I read it, but it's, okay, here's the official proclamation. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Tewksbury, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the Town of Tewksbury. And we urge the citizens to celebrate Arbor Day to support and protect the trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being in the future generations. Dated this February 10th, 2026. So,
I'll make that motion to adopt the official proclamation.
Second. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. Since we're doing this with a virtual, we're going to do a roll call. Mr. Ryder, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Holland?
Aye.
Mr. Mackey?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well, so you get a 4-0 vote. So congratulations and thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Annual town election warrant. Mr. Cohen?
Mr. Chairman, this is sent to us by the town clerk. This establishes the time, date, and place of the of town meeting as well as the election and the time and date of that as well, and identifies the polling places. It needs to be approved by the select board.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board at all?
I have none.
Okay.
So, Ms. Town Manager, we usually get a packet from the town clerk for people that need waivers to work polls. That usually comes at the same time as the warrant. Do we know if that's going to be coming? People that waivers because they're town employees, I believe it is.
Waivers for, what is it for?
If you're a town employee, I believe you need a waiver to work a polling location.
Oh, all right, I will get
Usually it
that,
comes in at the same time.
I will get that list from her.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other questions or concerns? Seeing none? All right. We'll take a listen to any motions in this matter.
Motion to approve the annual town election warrant.
Get a
Second.
motion? Okay, I got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Mr. Ryder?
Aye.
Mr. Holland?
Aye.
Mr. Mackey?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. It's a 4-0 vote. Okay. Okay, we are on to the FY27 enterprise budget and FY27 capital improvement plan presentation. Mr. Coven.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I've already presented to you the general fund budget. That was done, I think, January 28th. And as practice and bylaws require, I'm submitting the enterprise budgets tonight as well as the capital plan to both you, and then it's also been sent to the Finance Committee as well. So starting off, just there are 4 enterprise budgets: the telemedia enterprise budget, the water enterprise budget, the sewer enterprise budget, and the stormwater enterprise budget, and the 5-year capital plans. And accompanying each one of those enterprise budgets are recommended water rates for each one of these, recommended rates for each one of these enterprise budgets. So starting off with the cable enterprise budget, that budget is $596,000, of which $61,000 of that is indirect costs that are allocated to different areas: group insurance, retirement, Medicare. And also a big portion of that budget is $180,000 of capital improvements, which is primarily the Ella Fleming, a studio and a podcast studio that are being outfitted in that building. And then this slide, this table also shows you the projected revenue, which is $605,000. And with that being said, we will end up with a projected surplus at the end of the year, and that works. The 2 biggest areas, as I said, were capital outlay, and group insurance is a big cost this year. So this shows you the breakdown of indirect costs. It shows you that, as you can see, group insurance has gone up tremendously, so that indirect cost is going up tremendously. Retirement goes up each year, and Medicare is going up as well. This is the capital outlay from year on year. So going back 5 years, one year we had $230,000. This year we have $180,000. Last year we had $77,600. And as I said, this year's capital improvements are going towards the Ella Fleming and primarily to outfit this, a studio, a small studio, and also a podcast studio is being outfitted as well. And there's money in there for if a wind school project as well, for a studio as well. Telemedia, the trends in the enterprise budget are, as you can see, group insurance is a big contributor, retirement as well is a big contributor, and you can see on the left, the revenue stream has gone down a bit over the last couple of years, and it's not as dramatic as it appears in this graph, but 627 to 605, and that's primarily because subscribers are dropping of cable, Verizon and Comcast to primarily to streaming video. And so this is a breakdown you can see of the revenue stream, and you can see that the red is Comcast, it was about 288,000, and then Verizon is the blue, 197, and you see in the prior years it was a little bit higher than that, 201 and 306, and then 311 and 252. So it's dropped off a little bit. More so in Verizon from 23 to 24 had a significant drop, but it's been kind of slow and steady other than that year. This is the 180,000 I was talking about, those projects coming right out of the revenue for retained earnings. Actually from the budget itself, raise and appropriate. And now moving on to the enterprise fund for water. The capital investment plan includes 5.4 million as it has in the past, as well as 1.5 million for a total of 6.9 million. That 1.5 is for the last year of the meter installation project. The budget increase is about 12.47%, of which 8% is attributed to new debt service in the water enterprise fund. And one thing of note is that the bids for the 5.4 million is been coming. It's buying less mileage. It was 3 miles. It's now coming in more like 2.5 miles. Then looking at the enterprise budget, the big change in the water enterprise distribution budget, there's one position being added. It's about an $83,000 add. And that is a SHMEO, and that's because of the demands implemented by the DEP on gate valve maintenance and leak detection. Leak detection is also a contributor in the operating part of the budget as well. So that 28K is a big portion of that $32,000 change. So the budget overall changed $131,000. The major contributor to that is the one position that's being driven by DEP requirements. And that's what this graph shows, is the blue is the salaries, and it's gone up a bit this year because of that position. And then looking at the expense side of it, you can see the two areas that are being impacted are meter replacements and also professional services. And professional services increased by $30,000 and meter replacement increased by $27,000. And that's primarily to replace backflow devices in the meter replacement program. So that's what's driving the costs in that budget. And then looking at the filtration fund, that fund is actually, that enterprise budget has actually gone down by 14,000. There was a decrease in staff in this filtration line, so this one went down by 1, whereas the other one went up by 1. So kind of a wash there. And then this just shows you the expenses are outpacing the salaries and the water filtration budget, and that's driven largely by chemicals, you can see. The increase of 5.9% for repairs and repair and maintenance line items, $28,000, and that's due to backflow devices and unanticipated repairs. But as you can see, the biggest driver in the operating budget is the chemicals, which is $728,000. And then looking at the indirects for water enterprise, it's 1.9 million is what the indirects cost in that budget. And the big contributors are those items in yellow, which is one department, which is DPW, not surprisingly, is the most impacted by water enterprise. And then there are the fixed costs, which are group insurance, retirement, Medicare, and property and liability. So all those things make up $1.8 million, which is the lion's share of the $1.9 million indirect cost. And this just is a visual of that same thing. It shows you that public works, group insurance, and retirement, and property and liability are the biggest contributors to indirect costs. And then looking at the indirect costs year over year, you can see that those fixed expenses have gone up every year, whereas you look at the departments that have some indirect costs, they're pretty stable: town manager, accounting, computer services, treasurer, collector. But it's those fixed expenses that change year over year. DPW has changed a little bit as well. What's driving the budget increase is debt service, which is $792,000. You can see in that line item, and so for a total of $1 million in that budget, and then indirect costs is $169,000 change. So that $1.2 million, $792,000 of it is debt service, and you can see that here in this pie graph. And operating costs as well have gone up $249,000, and indirect costs have gone up a bit too. This shows you debt, the projected debt over the next several years. Right now, the debt service is just over $10 million, and it will go up over time as we continue to borrow $5.4 million a year, capping out at 2035. And then you can see that as a percentage of the budget, debt service is it'll hover between 39 and 37%, and probably a little higher than that later on. And the budget's projected to increase over time, as you can see. And then the capital improvements for water enterprise, the big pieces we've mentioned are the $5.4 million and the $1.5 million for FY27. And then hydrant replacement program is $150,000, and we have about 2,300 hydrants in town, and we replace about I think it's around 15 to 20 hydrants a year. And we also replace some hydrants when we do the projects, the water projects. In addition to that, and also hydrants that are just damaged by car accidents, and 3 or 4 of those a year as well. So that hydrant program is ongoing, and if we continued at the rate that we're continuing, it would take 60 years to replace all the hydrants in town. Hydrants should be changed over basically every 50 years, so we're a little bit behind the 8 ball on that. We could probably do it, if we were a little bit more aggressive, we'd be on that 50-year schedule. $200,000 for water treatment plant tank and maintenance upgrades, and $505,000 for fleet and equipment replacement. So for total capital for $7.75 million for capital improvements for enterprise. And our current balance in the retained earnings is just over $1 million, and our water stabilization, in addition to that, is $2.5 million. So strong reserves in these accounts. And then this is just a table that shows you the different types of water pipes that we're replacing. As you can see, asbestos pipe is one of the biggest culprits, in ductile iron as well. But asbestos pipe is those are where you see most of your water breaks. Water Enterprise Fund projected water revenues. We're adding in $800,000 for the state hospital estimate. That's expected to come online this summer. And so and then the projected revenues are about 9.5 million. It's a total of 10.8 million for projected revenues. And we're also using $455,000 from the stabilization fund to stabilize the rates a little bit. So that just shows you the revenue over the last couple of years. This is the basic formula we've used over time to calculate rates. And what we've done basically is we picked a time which was in April 22 with billing cycles of that year in 21 and 22. It wasn't a drought year, it wasn't a flood year, it was kind of it was what you would perceive to be an ordinary year. So we based our calculations off those consumptions and with a collection rate of 94%, and that's how we calculate the rates. So doing that, we've come up with new rates here, and it won't mean much to people just to see them. It's, $10 per 1,000 cubic feet for 0 to 12 gallons has gone up to 10.65, and then, on each one of those levels it increases. But what you're probably most interested in, what is the impact? So the impact, it's a 6.5% increase, and that increase is what we had talked about last year, that we would have 6.5 this year, 6.5 last year, and then try to taper it down. The rates will go down next year. And we've used, as I said, $455,000 to keep the rates at that number of 6.5 and then lower in the future. So what it does, what this table tells you is that 71% of the people in town would see a $41 increase to their water bill annually, not per quarter or per bill, but annually. And then 91% of the town would see a 78% increase or less. So most people will see an increase of less than of $41 or less in town for people to gauge what their bill might look like. And then moving on to these are things I've discussed, and then moving on to the Sewer Enterprise Fund. This fund is $3.1 million is the budget with salaries and expenses. It's going up $165,000. The biggest driver here is one employee being added to this budget as well. It's an HMEO, it's about $80,000. Expenses increased by $71,000, driven by increased demand for pump station maintenance. So that's what's driving the increase to this budget, is to service the pump stations. We have a tremendous amount of pump stations in town, and they're all getting long on tooth. So there was some analysis done about, rather than coming in on overtime to service these pumps all the time, we would, if we have another person on shift, we can be more proactive about our maintenance and hopefully cut down on some of those expenses. So that's the impetus to add the one position. So Sewer Enterprise budgets, this is less debt and indirect fixed costs. So you can see just the salaries are one portion, but the expenses are a much larger portion, and that's driven, I think, largely by the assessment we have to pay to the City of Lowell. We pay an assessment of looks like 1.9 million, and that's gone up a little bit. So repairs and maintenance line item has gone up, and professional services has gone up. So repairs and maintenance has gone up by $36,000, and professional services has gone up by $25,000. And again, this is driven by increased demands on our sewer pump station maintenance. And the Lowell sewer assessment has gone up by $3,100, or 0.16%. There it is. It's actually gone gone down. Doesn't make sense, does it? It's gone up, excuse me. So that is the biggest driver, as I said, repairs and maintenance. You can see that one, that's 178,000. And then the other one is professional services, and that's gone up as well. And then indirect, similar to water, you can see there's $918,000 in indirect costs, but the biggest contributor is these yellow items, which are fixed costs and also public works. So of that 918, 848,000 are from these categories. You can see the same thing. Public works is a big portion of it, group insurance, and then Medicare and retirement are big portions of it as well. And then this shows you again that the things that are increasing in indirect costs are the fixed cost, group insurance, retirement, and public works is going up as well. But the other accounts are very stable. And that's the story with this budget. This budget is fairly stable. It's $206,000 increase. And the total budget is 7.4 million. And this is the breakout. You can see debt is still a big portion of the budget, 3.2 million or 44%. Operating is at 3.2 million, and indirects is 918,000. And a much different story on the debt. You can see the debt drops off substantially over the next couple of years, and that's due to basically the end of the build out of the paying for the end of the build out of the sewer system. And so that will drop off the books, and that was actually debt excluded debt. So that's why you'd see it drops off, and so does the levy that went with it. So that will drop off by 2032 almost completely. And then you can see that the budget starts to go up again in 232, because with debt gone, the only influencing factors are the increases. So that's why there's sort of a dip and an increase in that budget. And then capital improvements, there's 1.2 million in capital improvements. 250,000 of that is for II, infiltration inflow. And then pump station improvements, we try to do one pump station a year. So the 350,000 is set aside for that. And fleet maintenance or fleet and equipment replacement is 680,000. And our retained earnings is 4.6. Balance with stabilization is 4.4, so they're very, very healthy. Sewer enterprise revenue is projected to be 7.4 million, almost 7.5 million in revenue. And that is with a 3% increase. And you can see there it's going from 7.2 to 7.4. And same parameters that we use for water, which we used that year that had a normal consumption rate, and assume a collection rate of 94%. And we ended up with rates that going up 3%, and the impact on the bill annually is $14 for 71% of the town, and $26 or less for 91% of the town. So less impact for the sewer, which makes sense because sewer debt is falling off, and we're not making the level of investments that we are making in water at this time. And so these are questions that I think I've addressed for the most part, and that concludes sewer enterprise. And moving on to stormwater, $780,000 budget for stormwater, and then the projected revenues for stormwater will be raise and appropriate of $800,000, which will cover the operating budget itself. And then moving on to this shows you just the breakdown of revenue. So revenue appears to be a lot less. We will actually generate more revenue, and that will end up bumping up our retained earnings. but we'll be taking money out of retained earnings this year. We're taking $700,000 out for capital projects. So it'll be kind of a wash there with money going into retained earnings and money coming out. And the capital programs, there's $700,000. It's mostly stormwater drainage work that needs to be done. And the retained earnings balance is $2.1 million in stormwater. And then this is the capital plan, which goes through each department, and it's a 5-year capital plan. We'll focus on FY27, and you can see that facilities and grounds is just over $1 million. There's some work being done at the police station. I think it's HVAC work, library. There's $500,000 worth of work being done there. Senior center chiller is being replaced. Pickleball court upgrade at Livingston. Some work being done there. Recreational fields, $150,000, the parking lot across the street being done there. And then in the fire department, we're purchasing a new ambulance. And then in public works, this is all Chapter 90 money for the most part, of road work, 1.3 million. In vehicles and equipment, fleet maintenance is 90,000. That's out of stabilization. And then school department, that's a safety feature for critical incident mapping software for the schools. That's 27,800. And sewer enterprise, as I kind of went through this already, 1.2 million for sewer enterprise, and then water enterprise, it's 855,000. And we mentioned stormwater, and in telemedia I also mentioned it's 180,000. And then there was some equipment being purchased by, or some cancer screening being done for PFAS, and that's we're paying for that out of the PFAS account, so that's 63,000. And then borrowing 5.4 million and 1.5 million for water distribution. So grand total of all projects this year is 13.3 million. And then this is where that's coming out of. So you see the stabilization fund is $23 million, and we'll be taking out 2.573 million, bringing that balance down to 20 million. And it's all these items I went through. These are all coming out of stabilization. And then these are coming out of retained earnings, as I mentioned. So there's a balance of just over $1 million in water retained earnings. We'll be taking 855 out, brings it down to 229,000. And then sewer retained earnings, there's 4.6 there. We're taking out 1.2 million, and that will bring the bring the balance down to 3.3 million. But we're buying vac trucks. We're buying that equipment to. We have water, when we have these water breaks and we're trying to work on, we need these pieces of equipment to try to service that. And also the stormwater work that we do requires that as well. So that's why we're looking at buying these pieces of equipment so that we can provide the services that, keep the town running and keep everybody in a good stead. So then stormwater, as I said, $700,000 in drainage improvement, and then the $180,000 for the Ella Fleming. And so that brings your total up. So retained earnings, stabilization is 5.5 million, borrowing is 6.9 million, Chapter 90 is 845,000, and PFAS is 63,000 for that total of 13.3 million. And that stabilization money will be replenished in the fall when we certify free cash, as we've done in the past. So that retained earnings and stabilization is split. You can see, as I said in an earlier slide, you can see 180 and 700, and then 855 and 175 from retained earnings. 1.2 and 855. And then the rest, 2.5, is coming from stabilization. So that 2.5 will be replenished by free cash in the fall. And that is it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This time, I'm going to open up to the board. Mr. Ryder, I'm going to give it to you to begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Curran, I see the $500,000 for complete streets. Is there a specific section of sidewalks that are being addressed with that?
Yeah, give me a minute, and I'll get you an
Okay.
answer for that. I'll see if I can dig that up. You saw that
Okay.
in,
That's in the complete street grant?
yeah, I see it,
the capital.
sidewalk complete streets, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah, let me see if I can look that up for you.
All right, thank you. I'm happy to, see that we're going to see the debt coming off on the sewer side. And, to keep that rate down as well for the residents. Overall, I think that was the only question I had right now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Holland?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. On the water and the state coming in, are they paying in-town rates or out-of-town rates?
I know that at a minimum, they're gonna pay the highest tier, I know that. But I think there is a separate rate. I'll have to get back to you on the answer to that, but I think there is a separate tier for them because they're not taxpayers. So their rate has to reflect that they have to pay a rate that assumes those expenses that are subsidized by the general fund.
Correct. Next question I have on the 5-year capital plan. You have the Sterling vac truck major repairs at $120,000. So we already have a vac truck, so we're getting another vac truck. Is that how I'm understanding this?
Yeah, I believe, yes. Yeah. That was that out of sewer?
I see it in the Tewksbury 5-year capital plan enterprise fund 2027 to 2031. It doesn't give a date. I'm assuming it's going to be this year.
Yeah, it would be this year, it's 2027. So your question is, we're going to have two vac
That's
trucks?
basically my question. We're going to
Yeah.
have two vac trucks because you're spending $120,000 to, it says major repairs and vac trucks. So I'm assuming we have one that has to be fixed and we'll get another one for $800,000.
Yeah, so we're going to have two. And you want to know why we have two?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can get you an answer from Mr. Hardeman about that.
Okay, other than that, I have no more questions at this time.
Mr. Mackey?
Well, thank you, Mr. Holland, because that vac truck was one of my questions as well. That's a large investment. My other question was on the Water Enterprise Fund. We had a leak detection line item. I thought we were getting a grant for that.
We're not going to be eligible for that grant because of the MBTA compliance.
at last town meeting around potential changes to the staffing model with that study that was funded to potentially bring the water treatment plant online, like to the internet. Are we still looking at that, and are those staffing changes reflected in
So,
this?
so we are looking at that, but we haven't, we kind of put the brakes on it for a second because Lowell is going through that process right now.
Okay.
And Woodard and Curran, who is our consultant, is doing the work with Lowell. And we're going to let them sort of pave the way and then, and then move ahead. It sounds like that it's moving forward. One of the sort of developments is that because it's so difficult to get people to work in these plants, that is actually making the DEP more open to entertaining these types of changes.
Okay, and are those, the two headcount that we're adding to water and sewer, are those reflective of those potential changes, or are we going to be looking at that in the future?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that would result in a reduction. So that's something completely different. But since one thing I should mention is that even though the board wanted us to have a project design engineer, coming on board, and so that's built into the rates, and the position is not in the budget yet, but it's built into the rates so that we can put it in, and I'll probably do it between now and the beginning of the year.
Perfect, thank you.
I got a couple of questions. I know we mentioned that the 5.5 is only going from 3 miles to 2.5 miles. And then we just had a discussion in previous years about using PVC pipe for some of it. And then we said that the cost of that was matching the same as the metal pipe. But then it came down to the availability of it all and things. So I kind of looked at what other communities use it, and Boston, Leominster, and Falmouth are using it. I'm just wondering, has the market changed? I'm not even confident that PVC with the temperatures in Massachusetts, which is a lot different than a lot of other places, is suitable. But seeing other communities are using it, and they have been using it, I'd like to see if the DPW can at least do some research on that. Because if that's going forward and the cost keeps getting more expensive and it goes from 3 miles to 2.5 miles to 2 miles to 1.5, we're back in the same boat of, we're trying to make an investment in this, but if there is another technology or another material that can be used that isn't going to break and is going to be there, I'd at least like to look into it to see if that's something that we could, replace more and get our dollars worth on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, the vac truck, I was looking at that, and I'm actually kind of happy that we'd have a second vac truck. One of the things that we have many catch basins in this town that have to be cleared, and we have country drainage in a lot of areas. And when we get to May, we get numerous calls from residents in this area that the catch basins are filled, and you get all the sediment over the winter, and they got to go out there and clean all those basins. And if we got a truck that's unreliable and we're putting this kind of money into it, and the trucks are also used every time there's a water break. So they're taking that vehicle out there and they're going to take the water out of the hole while they're trying to get to do the repairs. So, if that's, we got a lot of water breaks in this town. And I know it's an expensive vehicle, but until we get our water lines, repaired, we could have a water break at any time. We could have multiple water breaks in this town. And if we didn't have the material, the equipment to deal with it, that's concerning to me. So, if you can get an answer from them, that'd be great. But I'm guessing that may be the answer of trying to get as many catch basins as we can get done before we get to May and we get the heavy rains, and then we get people calling us about the flooding.
Okay.
I think everything else we kind of covered. I'm happy about that we're able to stabilize the water rates, that we're not going. Last year, we're sitting here talking about a huge increase, And, we brought something up and you worked through it. So I thank you and your staff for putting that effort in to try to keep it at a reasonable, keep it under $100 for everyone.
Yeah, and
Sounds
it-
like it's going to be under $50 for most people, but it looks like, we'll have that. And, the sewer, we've been talking about this for many years. The sewer debt is coming off, and that's good. I don't care if people save a dollar's a dollar. So if, the sewer debt is finally starting to lower, that's something that's good news. I'd like to make as much investment as we can to replace the water lines in this community as possible, so we're not constantly repairing them. Chemicals in the water are expensive, and how much water we're losing in this community just from broken lines and that we don't even know about is quite a bit. And all the chemicals that we're putting in the water treatment plant that's going into the ground is money that's being wasted. It's not anyone's fault. We just got old lines. And, the best investment we can get is to try to repair them as soon as possible. So
Okay.
appreciate all your hard work, and I thank you.
So, and just trying to answer, there were two questions that were asked, that I'm just trying to find an answer to. I'm just looking at the capital requests. So it looks like that $800,000 vac truck is actually replacing a 2003 vac truck, and that's a hydro vac truck. And then the repairs are being done to 2018 truck. So we do have these two trucks already. One's being replaced, one's being repaired. So that's that. And I'm not, the sidewalk one, Mr. Ryder, I'll try to get you an answer for.
I appreciate that.
And that was $500,000, correct?
Correct. Yeah, when you have a minute, if you could just forward that to me, I appreciate that.
Yeah, okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
The only last thing I just want to, talking about, we get concerns all the year when we get the heavy rains. And I know we always put out that we're doing potholes and we're doing flushing hydrants, things like that. But I would like to see if the DPW can put something out. I think they've done it the last couple of years to let people know that they're going to be, we get a lot of calls, concerns about basins being clogged or filled, or things like that. So when they are going out to do that, that'd be helpful, that we could put a post to let residents know that DPW is starting to do that as soon as this winter's over, when they go
Okay.
out there.
Yeah, and just while you bring it up, I don't know what the date, I just saw it on my phone. There is going to be a power shut-off, and I will use this meeting to publicize it from 9 to 9:30 on, is it the 20th?
This Friday.
This Friday, in the, which neighborhood is it?
Brown Street neighborhood?
The Brown Street area.
South Tewksbury, I saw that post.
So, just for the benefit of everybody who's watching, if you live in the Brown Street area, and you're going to work late on Friday, don't plan on taking a shower at 9:30 because, it's a power shut off, so you can take a shower, but you can't do
see.
much else. Between 9 and 9:30, so that's something to keep in mind.
All right, I saw that posted out. Would like to get a little bit more information from that. That's the temperatures and everything like that. I just want to make sure that, like, when they're turning out power,
Yeah.
it's not a concern to residents when, like, the temperatures are below freezing.
Well, and that's another thing that you just mentioned, and I know we had an emergency meeting about a couple of weeks ago. If anyone who's watching this and you have any type of medical equipment or anything like that that you need to be operating between 9 and 9:30, please don't hesitate to call my office, and we'll try to make sure that, that we can help you with that, because, it's rare, but it does happen.
Yeah, I'd just like to have a conversation with National Grid when they're doing these type of things, that we should get a little bit more advanced notice than on Tuesday that we're telling people that we're turning off their power. I know it's only a half hour, but if, like I said, half hour is, you don't know
Right.
who it's affecting. We don't know what kind of medical equipment people have, or concerns about, will it turn on their heater again? Will it, those type of things, does somebody have to worry about something going off and not, does it throw a breaker? Those kind of concerns in this type of temperature. We don't want,
Right.
broken water lines or anything else in a home.
Well, not just that, you also have, is it going to be a half an hour? Is it going to stretch into an hour? Is it going to stretch into 4 hours? You know, and they should be more upfront with us when they do this. And I think if the temperature out there, I think they should change the date.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like an emergency per se, you know, so if it's going to be 14 degrees out, why don't you just postpone it for a couple of weeks?
Well, let me see what other information I can find out
Okay.
about this shut off.
All right, thank you.
All right.
But, Mr. Chairman, if I can, just before you wrap up the budget, you know, we've been talking about it for a couple of years, and how, and I know Richard said it to me before he left, is that these years, 27, 28, 26, they were the years we needed to watch out for, because we knew there was going to be a slowdown in growth, and so it's critical that we get through these years. So far, we've been able to, we managed well with 26, and it looks like we're going to be able to do well with 27. But I do expect that 28, 29 is still going to be very challenging. So, you know, we're not in dire shape like some other communities are, but we still have to be very, diligent about watching how our expenses increase, because the revenue is real tight these next couple of years.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other questions or concerns on the board?
I'm all
The
set, Mr.
capital
Chairman.
improvements plan? All right, thank you, Mr. Curran, for putting that together.
Thank you.
Next. All right, next item on our agenda is the town manager,
All right.
town council invoice.
Let me just pull that up. Okay. All right. Shawshene budget has actually increased. It was higher than what we had forecasted, so that will be adjusted on the budget. It is separate from the general budget system thing, so it's went up by 5.2%, so it went up $60,000 more than we anticipated. Knowing that local aid and local receipts will be a little better, that's not going to be a problem. We'll be able to absorb that. It won't impact the levy, so that means it won't impact the taxes. But it did increase a little higher than we expected, and we were one of the communities that had the lowest increase, which is kind of funny, but some increases, some communities went up 27%, so. And we've had extreme cold and snow over the weekend. We had very extreme temperatures, as well as a snow event on Saturday. DPW began scraping snow at about 8 a.m. and they cleared the roads and continued to work on the sidewalks, and they stuck with it and got them done. So DPW posted this on social media to encourage residents to adequately also to heat their homes, especially in some of the basements in town. You know, the temperatures are lower than they should be, so people should keep an eye on their pipes in their basements. That Ion Water program actually does tell you if your pipes are lower than they should be. So save yourself some heartache and keep an eye on your pipes in your basement, because better to prevent it from happening than have to deal with the aftermath. The battery energy storage, as you know, you voted on the 4th to send the draft host community agreement to to the hearing, and so that was done on Friday. And the hearings began this week and they've been ongoing, so town's special counsel participated on the first day, but not the second day. We're not going to be there for every hearing because it's not our fight, it's between the project petitioner and the, so it'd be too expensive to have a town council there every single meeting. Ella Fleming Podcast Studio, just as an FYI, I know I've mentioned it, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, just formally, that we're taking one of those rooms and splitting them, not the historic room, but the one on the left, and to make a studio and a podcast room, and that's being paid for with telemedia funds. And Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, Danielle McFadden is stepping down as president CEO of that Chamber of Commerce, and I believe she's moved on, and she's also a member of the school committee now. But so that's there's some changes there that we'll have to introduce ourselves to the new chairperson, or the new director. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, questions or concerns on the board?
I have none.
None? All right, thank you, Mr. Curran. Next thing, we got a town council invoice.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve town council invoice for $3,060.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We'll do a roll call vote because we're doing this virtually as well. Mr. Ryder, how do you vote? Is your mic off?
Aye.
Okay, aye, okay.
Aye.
Mr. Mackey? Chair votes aye as well. It's a 4-0 vote. Okay, thank you. Minutes. I know clerk is not here, but we have 2 sets of minutes. We can either make a motion to approve the minutes as presented, or we can wait for the clerk to be back. It's up to the board, what all you feel. I'll listen to any motions on it.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 16th.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
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 Votes aye as well. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Mr. Ryder, again.
Aye.
Aye.
Holland, Mr. Mackey. Chair votes aye as well. That's a 4-0 vote. Thank you. And then we get January 6th. You got any motions on this one?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye
Aye.
as well. Mr. Ryder, aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Holland.
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. Okay. All right, there's a 4-0 vote. They're all set. Now we get board member reports. Mr. Ryder, do you have anything to report?
No, nothing at this moment, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Holland?
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge the chief of police for his efforts in his whole department for down in the Home Depot side of Main Street. I usually read the paper and I read the police blog. I haven't seen the Motel 6 in it in 3 weeks. I want to thank him for his efforts, but I do see Ames Hill. Maybe we should try the same process up there. But again, I want to thank him for his efforts and his department for his efforts. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Mackey?
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. I think I mentioned the last time at the LRTA was extending service. That got voted in and got approved. So Wilmington is now part of the LRTA and we're extending that service. The only other thing I got to comment that I think we have to pay attention to, got some conversations and we got to find out, follow through with it on Tewksbury State Hospital. I guess there's some questions and concerns on what they're going to take a vote on how security is going to be trained and the equipment that they're going to be allowed to carry and what kind of stuff they're going to be things. And I know that's concerning. I know our police chief has had some discussions with them, from my understanding that they're looking to take away some of the safety equipment away from the security guards that are currently patrolling the area. So I think we should have a conversation with that just to see how, like I said, I don't know if anything has taken place. Hopefully, everything's the same, but there has been some conversations about that. So I just want to make sure we follow through, especially when we're getting kids out on vacation soon. I just want to make sure they've done a wonderful job adding all the security measures up there. I applaud them for all their hard work, but I just want to make sure that stays the same and that they're listening to the recommendations of the police department and the security, and that continues.
Did they have that meeting yet?
I believe they had it on Monday. I don't know, like I said, from what I understand, it was an executive session or whatever it is. I don't know if anything's taken place, but that's something that I think we should follow up with, and we can probably get our police chief to give us an update on that, and then we'll have some information on that. Okay, I don't have anything else. At that, I'll listen to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I second? A motion, a second. All those in favor, please say by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Ryder?
Aye.
Mr. Holland?
Aye.
Ms. Mackey?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.